Hi, welcome to another lesson with Omoju Math and Science. In today's lesson, we'll see how to multiply complex numbers. We'll use some examples to show you how to multiply complex numbers, and at the end of the lesson, I'll leave you with a take-home example. That said, let's get started. Our complex numbers are usually represented in the form of A plus B I. Now, where A here is the real part and B I is the imaginary part. Now for I, in our previous lessons, I explained that I is the same thing or is equivalent to the root of minus 1. Now one unique thing in multiplying complex numbers is how you treat the imaginary parts. Now if I have I and I have to multiply I times I, you know that this is the same thing as saying the root of minus 1 times the root of minus 1, which is equals to minus 1. Now that means I squared is the same thing as minus 1. Now if I now have I raised to power 2 times I raised to power 2, that's the same thing as I raised to power 4 from indices. That will be the same thing as minus 1 times minus 1, which is equals to 1. Now, so that if I ask you to give me the expression for I raised to power 5, I raised to power 5 will be the same thing as I raised to power 4 times I, which is the same thing as 1 times I. So I raised to power 5 will be the same thing as I. If I have to give me an expression for I raised to power 6, this will be the same thing as I raised to power 4 times I raised to power 2, which is the same thing as 1 times minus 1, which is equals to minus 1. Now if I ask you to give me an expression for I raised to power 7, this will be the same thing as I raised to power 4 times I raised to power 2 times I. Now look at this. You observe that this is the same thing as I raised to power 4 is 1. I raised to power 2 is minus 1. This is times minus 1 times I. Now this is same thing as minus I. Now I'll leave you with some few examples so that you can use the comment section and give me their equivalent. I'll give us the expression for I raised to power 11 in the comment section and I raised to power 15. I'll be glad if you share your results with me via the comment section. Now that said, let's continue with our today's lesson. If I'm to multiply an expression, if I'm to multiply two complex numbers, A plus I or plus BI, and I'm multiplying it with C plus DI. Now, for this kind of multiplication, you've agreed with me that we can use their distributive properties. Now, let's take a more practical example so that we can understand it better. We have that, if I have that Z1 is equals to 4 plus 5J and Z2 is the same thing as 3 minus 2J. I'm asked to find the Z1 times Z2. Now, I'll simply express this as 4, that's 4 plus 5J, bracket close, into 3 minus 2J. Now, to multiply these two complex numbers, the first thing we should be thinking of doing is to open this bracket so that this becomes 4 into 3 minus 2J into plus 5 now. I am using the distributive properties into 3 minus 2J. So that if I now open this bracket, it becomes 4 times 3, that becomes 12. 3 times minus 4 times minus 2, that's minus 8J, and plus 5 times plus 5J times 3, that's plus 15J. And plus 5 times minus 2, that's minus 10J squared. For my complex numbers, you see I use I and J interchangeably. Now you see, as a rule of thumb, some textbooks will use J, some textbooks will use I. Whichever of the two you find and you use, it's just the same thing. Understanding the basic principle is what I think is very important. Now, this is same thing as 12 minus 8j plus 15j. That's plus 7j. And I have minus 10j squared. Now, minus 10j squared is the same thing as minus, remember, we said j squared will be the same thing as minus 1 into minus 1. So this is equals to 12 plus 7j minus 10 times minus 1. That's plus 10. So that I have my final answer will be 22 plus 7j. Now, let's see another example. If I'm now to look for, let's imagine I have Z3. Let me introduce a Z3, which is the same thing as 2 minus 5j. And I'm now to look for Z2 times Z3. Now, for my Z2 times Z3, I'll be talking of 3 minus 2j into 2 minus 5j. Still, we'll be using the distributive property, so this becomes 3 into 2 minus 5j minus 2j into 2 minus 5j. So that I now have 2 times 3, that becomes 6 minus 15j minus 4j. Now minus 2 times 5j, that becomes plus 10j squared. Now this is 6 minus 15 minus 4j, that's minus 19j, and plus 10j plus 10j squared is minus 1. So this is 6 minus 19 minus 19j minus 10. So 6 minus 10 will becomes minus 4 minus 19j. Now, thank you for staying with us so far, and I hope you understand how to multiply complex numbers now. And you can now try your hands with the following example. Try your hands multiplying our Z1 with Z3. Please try your hand multiplying Z1 with Z3 and kindly share your result with us in the comment section. We'll be glad to see your results and we'll be glad to help you. Thank you for staying with us and do have a nice day.